Hello, good afternoon. I'm a little late today with my live. The truth is, I had a great sleep last night. Usually I'm tossing and turning, and I only get about an hour and a half at most since my knee replacement. So I had an awesome sleep last night, and then I was a bit late starting my exercises. I have to do my exercises 4 times a day. Um, that's given. I just do them, and I do my morning affirmations and my morning routine. So I'm a bit late today, but anyway, I have a great topic today, and it's about storytelling. Everybody loves a great story. Like from the beginning of time, man has told stories. They'd huddle around the fire and tell their stories. They'd be in caves and uh, write stories on the cave walls. People love a good story. Um, so anyway, let's continue with this with some examples, and then I'll go into a personal story of my own. So if you've ever been on a job interview, one of the questions they will ask you is, um, tell me about yourself. Okay, so I'm going to give you two scenarios here. One's a little ridiculous, and the other one's more believable. Okay, so right now I'm wearing this Batman shirt. You can see, okay? Uh, okay, put on my hat here. Okay, so the interviewer asks, tell me about yourself. And the interviewee goes, dude, what a sick question. I love Batman. I wore this Batman shirt to the interview. I even brought my Batman alarm clock. This wakes me up every morning, so I make it to work. What do you think of that? I'm wearing my Guinness hat because I love to drink Guinness every night. It's like a meal in a can. Oh, so awesome. What a great question, dude. Okay, so that's one scenario. Do you think you got the job? Probably not. Give me a minute. Oh, okay. Uh, okay. Oh, it's kind of hard. Okay. Tell me about yourself. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing this MVP shirt I got. I got that MVP shirt because I believe in hard work and dedication to the company. Uh, I'm always working, I'm always finding ways to improve the flow at the workplace. Uh, I just love working. In fact, when I made the MVP, it was because of my qualities that I have and my persistence and my attention to detail. Okay, so that's another sort of storytelling. Hot with two shirts on. Okay, so I know a lot of people have their own companies. Now let's try something when somebody asks, what do you do? Okay, so one response is, well, I work for XYZ company and their products are amazing. I think their products are the greatest in the world, blah, 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 XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Okay, so they're not talking about themselves. There's nothing about themselves in the conversation. Now, let's go to another scenario, and the person's asked, what do you do? And I go, well, you know how people are looking for solutions to their health issues and they're unhappy with the side effects of drugs. Well, what I do is provide solutions to those people. The reason I do this is because, and then you can relate with a story to something personal. Perhaps you lost weight. Perhaps you have a certain condition that is made better. Do not embellish, do not lie, but tell your own story, right? So, and then you introduce your whole story, right? And that could go on. And then the person goes, wow, you know, I'd like to lose weight too. So tell me more about this. Or, you know, I get a better night's sleep by using these. Oh, well, I have trouble sleeping. Tell me more, right? You see? And then you're not really talking about the company, you're talking about you. You're talking about your story. Okay, so let's go on with the story I promised you, the 3 lessons I learned installing windows in high rises. Now, in our construction and installed windows in high rises, I was pretty young. I was 20 or 21. So there was these 2 massive towers downtown. So I got a job there, and I have to imagine that the people that I worked with were a fairly rough crowd, right? So if you were a bit nervous or different or not really rough, they kind of mocked you or shunned you. Anyway, so it came about the way it worked is I installed windows in a high rise. So there was a crew of 4, 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside. The guys on the inside would get the glass ready, put it on an A-frame, which it's kind of hard to explain. It's just like a cart shaped like an A with wheels on it, and you put the glass on it. And then you'd wheel it up to the windows, and you get each floor set up that way, right? So when the swing stage came up, you'd go to the one floor, the glass would be ready, you'd pass it out the window, you'd go up the next floor, and glass would be ready, you'd pass. So while the guys inside were getting the glass ready, the guys outside would be preparing the windows on each floor. Okay, so that's that. Then you have to understand that there's the office windows you can look out, but the way these buildings were designed, in between that, there was a blank spot where they put spandrels, as they were called. So spandrels were thin pieces of glass, roughly the size of, but the thickness of paneling, a little bit thicker, and about roughly the same size, give or take. I can't remember, it was a long time ago. Seemed like they were about that size anyway. Okay, so those would go in between the floors. Now, when you passed the spandrels out the window to the crew outside, I worked on the inside. So when you pass the spandrels, hi Debbie, when you pass the spandrels to the crew outside, they had a very odd way of doing it. So the glass would be on the A-frame, they take it off, then they flip it up on a sheet of plywood. Now remember, spandrels are very thin tempered glass. So if you hit that anywhere, it's gonna melt like butter in your hands. So you don't want that. So then they sort of tilt it up, and one person would hold it over their head like this, and the other person would hold it down low like this, and then you'd pass it out the frame, the one guy holding high, swinging like this, and the other guy holding low. You would not touch the frame, because if you touched the frame, that glass would melt and injure somebody. So when it went to lifting it up high, I would shake, because I'd hold it like this, And I was still pretty young, and it'd be like this. And of course, the guys on the swing stage would see this glass coming out. Okay. So they didn't like it, and I can't blame them. So I got to be, do the odd jobs and the coffee boy. Now, the coffee boy, you'd go and get the coffee for all the men, and this could take an hour, right? So you get an hour break, and then get 15 minutes. But if you made a mistake, oh, it did not go well for you. Fortunately, I never made a mistake as a coffee boy. And later on, when somebody else joined, I did get tips. So I got tips plus an hour break. So it wasn't that bad. But at any rate, I kept practicing. Every chance I got, I would practice till finally I got it, right? And then they all said, great job, awesome. It took me a couple of weeks, but I did get it in the end. And then along came Bob. Now, Bob had worked construction for a long time. And Bob knew about windows, okay? And he said, what are you doing? This is insane. This is not the way to pass windows out to the crew outside. You're doing it backwards. Okay, so then Bob said, found a burlap sack, stuck it in the, on the window, the window frame on the ledge. And then what we'd do would carry that spandrel like you would a sheet of plywood with two guys, or a sheet of paneling. One guy leans it into him and the other guy carries it back and leans it. So you're both leaning it in, you're not fighting with each other. And then you'd go up to that burlap sack. The one guy would put his end down, holding on to the burlap sack, and the other guy would hit the back end, and out the window it would go. Easy peasy. You could do, instead of doing 25 windows a day, we were doing 75. Okay, so right there are two very important lessons. One, if you stick with something long enough, you will get it, depending on your determination. You have to want to succeed at it. You have to want that. Number two, there's always another way of doing something. Sometimes you might not find success in the way you're doing something. Somebody else might have a better solution. So look around for other alternative ways of doing things. Look around for what succeeds with other people and then copy their success, right? Just because you're doing something and it's not working doesn't mean that that particular thing is wrong. It could be the way you're doing it. So just watch what other people do, copy their success. Okay, so that's lesson 2. So now we're going to move on. Actually, there's more than 2 lessons, there's about 4. But at this building, I have to do some more explaining about construction and high rises here. Okay, so everybody knows on a high rise at the top of the building there's a crane. Okay, but what you might not notice is at the back end of the crane, there's counterweights. There are big concrete blocks at the back end of the crane. Now, on the particular site that I've worked on, these counterweights fell off the crane, and they fell right on the ground where a bunch of workmen would have been doing rebar, okay? However, nobody was there, they were on lunch. Okay, so there's another explanation I have to give to you. To get men up and down the floors and the materials, there's a sort of orange looking elevator type thing. It's a box and it's like a cage sort of with, it's orange. You'll notice if you look up at a high rise. This is called the skip. The guy transporting the men up and down is called a skip operator. Okay, so what happened is the counterweights fell off the skip and narrowly avoided a bunch of men working at the time. Okay, so then the question was, a lot of people thought that this job site was unlucky, that it was, you know, you could get hurt. But an alternative way of looking at it is nobody got hurt. Yes, they were bad incidents, but fortunately, nobody got hurt. So you could look at the good side, right? Because after that, yes, they did make changes to the work site. Okay, so then I finished those two buildings and went on to work at another construction site. Now, this construction site was a lot different. This was all glass, and there were big pieces of glass. I think they weighed about 200 pounds. Okay, so this one, they were more safety conscious. So around the floors where there were open frames, they would have a sort of wire going around so that you could not fall out the window per se, right? But again, being in a crew of 4 and passing the glass out to the people outside, you had to basically lift it over that. So instead of being, level here, it's up here somewhere, and you're lifting it like this to get it over. So it's very hard on the body. Okay, so I did do that, but then, I always worked on the inside because I assumed that working on the outside, if it was that heavy inside, it's going to be a lot heavier outside. So one day, there was a bit of a wind picking up, and the one guy didn't want to go on the swing stage. Neither did I, but I went. I went out on the swing stage. We got past the piece of glass, and as soon as it get past once one guy passes it out, he holds the swing stage into the building, right? So it won't swing out. So we were fairly secure, right? Then the other guy passed, and then when I went to put the window in, oh my God, it was so easy. It was like, are you kidding me? This is easy, right? No wonder these guys want to be out on the swing stage. It's like easy. Okay, so there's another story. Like when you assume something, it isn't always necessarily true. First, before you make assumptions, just try it out, do it, okay? So I'd like to thank you for listening to my story, and there is a free gift for you if you would like. There's a free course on the power of storytelling, okay? If you look up in the description, there's a link, so just go to that and you can get a free course. What you'll have to do is you'll have to enroll, but don't worry, there's no charge, there's no fee, there's no credit card, there's no PayPal, right? It's free. You just enroll, and that course is free. Okay, so if you'd like a course on storytelling for your business, just go to that link, click on it, get that free course. And then once you take the course, you just keep going back, and you can watch it as many times as you want. It's not like a one-off and it does the Mission Impossible and disappears, right? You can just go back and keep watching it and watching it and watching it over and over again. Okay? So thank you for watching. Have an awesome day.